Well, hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mr. Sanders Twin again, and we are back for another read aloud. So, this one's going to be short and sweet. So, we had chapter 15, part one. So, this is going to be part two. It's significantly shorter than the first part. So, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Several hours later, rescue had still not come. Johnny raised his eyebrows pointedly, nodding at the cell door. Carol sighed. I'm sure they just got delayed or something. Maybe. Or maybe the Ish Queen was doing Tezcat's will, faking us out, making us freak even more. Carol didn't want to believe that, but when the cell doors opened to reveal the city guard waiting to escort them to their deaths, she collapsed inwardly. I guess I thought I saw something in her that wasn't there. The Virgin, Tonatzin, some spirit of sisterhood that could make her my ally. From their cells, the twins were led along a narrow tunnel that angled upward till it ended right at the temple's base. Thousands of were creatures, demons and monsters, thronged about the ziggurat, and as Carol and Johnny emerged, a roar of excitement went up that set the very ground to trembling. Hey, cool! Johnny smiled and winked. We're famous! All the demons are cheering us! They're excited to see us sacrifice Johnny. Yeah, but that's something, no? He laughed and turned to the guards. Famous, notorious, all the same, huh, guys? Shut up and climb the stairs, human, the captain growled, wresting the shield from Johnny's grasp. Sheesh. Her brother's hand shot into the air in an exaggerated gesture of exasperation. I'm going, dude. Hello. My adoring fans await. Got to give them a heartfelt performance, no? All my Zibalban rivals will just eat their hearts out, seriously. Carol rolled her eyes and groaned. Is this really the time for your cheesy jokes? They're going to kill us. We won't die. You even said it. The little people have our backs. I'm guessing the Lords of Nasty are going to yank out the pieces of jade. Yeah, well, I've been thinking about that. Aren't they going to notice that those aren't our hearts? Won't they just, I don't know, reach back in and remove the real ones? All right, let's go ahead and answer the first question. Why does Johnny think Ishunin abandoned them? So you'll find clues to this in this section right here. Carol sighed. I'm sure they just got delayed or something. Maybe, or maybe the Ish Queen was doing Tezcat's will, faking us out, making us freak even more. If you'd like a sentence starter, you can use he thinks she abandoned them because blank. All right, let's continue. I think we just have to have faith, Carol. There's really nothing else we can do. If Quetzalcoatl or God or whoever wants us to get Mom and defeat Tezcat, they're going to have to step up and protect us. I'm done worrying. The guards prodded them roughly, and Carol began to climb. The steps were steep and slick, but thankfully, the pyramid's sides were slanted at a relatively comfortable angle. Nonetheless, after finishing the first set of steps, standing on a broad stone landing upon which the second level of the ziggurat had been built, her leg muscles burned fiercely. By the time they'd reached the third such landing, Carol was out of breath, red-faced, and sweating like mad. Panting, Johnny gasped sarcastically. Good workout, huh? Gotta recommend it to my jock friends. Oh, wait, I hate jocks. Now I'm really recommending it, especially for the prize they get when they reach the top. A guard shoved him towards the last flight of steps. Carol followed quickly, not wanting any more prodding from those painful clubs. She kept her eyes down, focusing on her aching feet, postponing the need to look up at the temple proper. Finally, though, she reached the top and had to take in the tableau. The cube-shaped temple sported a large obsidian mirror which faced her, Immediately in front of it was a huge stone receptacle in the shape of a jaguar, its back hollowed out to receive, she imagined, the hearts of sacrificial victims. Between that basin and the twins rose the altar, a massive slab of granite mottled with stains that were certainly old blood. Whew! 260 freaking steps. Johnny stretched, his joints popping. I see you've got my bed ready. Perfect. I'm super tired. Arranged on either side of the temple were the Agilab, the red and green lords to Carol's left, the black and white to her right. From within the temple, High Lord Kissen emerged. He now wore a black robe that reached his bare feet. His face was painted black, and a powder that smelled to Carol's heightened senses like crushed scorpions and spiders had been rubbed into his forearms and neck. In his left hand, he twirled a deadly-looking obsidian blade. Indeed, his gaunt face spread in a wicked smile. Then do climb right up, living boy, and rest a while. Johnny shrugged, but Carol could hear his heart pounding as he approached the slab and pulled himself onto it. Immediately, a lord from each of the four quadrants of Xibalba moved forward and took hold of an arm or leg, immobilizing her brother. Kissen moved toward him, brandishing the blade. He began chanting in some dark, ancient tongue. A shadowy force gathered in the air like a silent oblivion, and smoke began to pour from the mirror, curling its way along the top of the pyramid, twisting around the altar's base. All right, let's answer question number 2. How is Johnny's behavior different from his feelings? So there's kind of a contrast here. Um, so Johnny's kind of a comedian in this section. He's kind of cracking jokes, like he says, "Woo, 260 freaking steps." He stretched, his joints popping. "I see you got my bed ready. Perfect. I am super tired." The bed being where they're going to remove his heart. But then Carol is hearing his heart pounding as he's approaching the slab and pulling himself onto it. So you have to think about, how is the way that he's acting different from the way that he's feeling? If you'd like a sentence starter, you can use his behavior is different from his feelings because blank. All right, let's finish up the read aloud and answer the last question. O Tezcatlipoca, lord of the near and the nigh, night wind, enemy of both sides, receive this life that we end for you, and may such a death herald many more, until a darkness pervades the living world and Mictlan erupts upon the earth. Carol felt her brother's thin courage falter as the knife blurred upward in the High Lord's hand. "Wait!" he cried, and his soul struck out wildly, despairing. Carol could bear no more. Mustering all of her energy, she opened her mouth to sing, intending to send notes of pure Teotl pounding against Kissen. The first quavering note had barely left her lips when he shook his head and pointed his free hand at her, closing his fingers together in a gesture of silence. "Enough of your twittering, little bird." She found herself frozen in place, unable to move or speak as the black blade sliced through the air. "Don't look." Johnny's last thought flitted through her heart, but she couldn't avert her eyes. Kissen cut open her brother's chest, hacking through his shirt, and with a deft movement he plunged his hand inside and drew forth a pulsating red mass. He lifted it high into the air and was immediately rewarded with the raucous cheers of thousands of monsters in the streets below. Then, with a fiendish flourish, the High Lord tossed the heart into the hollow in the back of the stone jaguar. The four lords released Johnny's limbs as he went limp. Kissen motioned to the guards. "Send this filth rolling down the steps. Let the Aotio and their ilk feast on his flesh." The guard seized Johnny's body roughly and prepared to flip him over the edge. The captain of the guard, however, interrupted them. Here, set him on a shield and let's watch him rush at them willy-nilly. Carol wanted to scream, but her throat was locked. The undead soldiers dropped Johnny's unmoving form into the curve of the stolen shield and sent him rocketing down the steps of the ziggurat. Kissen crooked his fingers at her, and against her will, Carol moved towards the slab. With jerky movements, she climbed atop it and lay down, her brother's blood warm and sticky beneath her back. The four lords wrapped dead hands around her ankles and wrists as Kissen intoned his ancient chant. Sinking deeper into herself, Carol tried not to listen, tried not to see. The knife arced up through the gray sky, and she fled from consciousness before it could fall. All right, let's answer the last question. What is Carol and Johnny's fate? You'll find their rather gruesome fate. So, Johnny already had his, and Carol's about to get hers. Um, says right here, don't look. Johnny's last thought flitted through her heart, but she couldn't avert her eyes. Kissen cut open her brother's chest, hacking through his shirt, and with a deft movement, he plunged his hand inside and drew forth a pulsating red mass. That's quite vivid, isn't it? Ew. If you'd like a sentence starter, you can use their fate is blank. All right, everybody, that is it for today's read aloud. I told you it was short but sweet. Sweet. That wasn't very sweet. That was quite gruesome, and who knows if they're even alive at this point. But we have a little bit more of the book to go, so infer what you may. Anyway, I will see you in the next read aloud, and until then, take care.